On Thursday, April 26, 2018, Erie County passed the County of Erie Fair Housing Law. This legislation is consistent with federal and state fair housing laws while also banning discrimination throughout Erie County on the basis of one's race, color, religion, sex, age, marital status, disability, national origin, source of income, sexual orientation, gender identity, military status, familial status, or immigration and citizenship status. Source of income discrimination, in particular, is pervasive throughout Erie County and perpetuates much of the widespread residential segregation found throughout Western New York. With this landmark legislation, housing providers will no longer be allowed to deny prospective tenants access to safe and affordable housing merely because they received rental assistance, disability benefits, supplemental security income or SSI, veterans benefits, or other government subsidies and lawful non-wage income. Federal, state, and local fair housing laws work to ensure that all individuals have equal housing opportunities. The Federal Fair Housing Act, the New York State Human Rights Law, and various local laws, such as the New York City Human Rights Law, prohibit discrimination by housing providers, and these include owners, real estate agents, managing agents, building superintendents, cooperative as well as condominium boards, and lenders. Lenders include banks and mortgage companies. The Federal Fair Housing Act makes it illegal to discriminate on the basis of a person's race, familial status, that means the presence of children under the age of 18, color, national origin, religion, disability, whether physical or mental, as well as sex. The New York State Human Rights Law protects all of the same characteristics as the Federal Fair Housing Act, but it also makes it illegal to discriminate based on creed, age, sexual orientation, marital status, or military status. Some local governments afford their residents additional protections. For example, the New York City Human Rights Law prohibits housing discrimination based on gender, citizenship status, partnership status, gender identity, lawful occupation, and lawful source of income, including public assistance or housing assistance. That also includes Social Security, SSI, pensions, annuities, or unemployment benefits. Local laws in Buffalo, Hamburg, West Seneca, and Nassau County also prohibit source of income discrimination in housing. Most housing is included. In New York State, fair housing laws cover most housing with three main exceptions: one or two family owner-occupied buildings, room rentals in housing for individuals of the same sex, and room rentals in owner-occupied housing. Illegal actions. Fair housing laws apply to the sale or rental of housing and also to mortgage lending. They cover some very specific actions. Some typical examples include refusing to rent, sell, finance, insure, or negotiate for housing, making housing unavailable, setting different terms or conditions or providing unequal services, printing or circulating a discriminatory advertisement, refusing to make or provide information for a loan, or imposing different terms of conditions for a loan, harassing, threatening, intimidating, or coercing anyone, including sexual harassment. Those with disabilities are also protected. Under the fair housing laws, a landlord may not, number one, refuse to make reasonable modifications to a dwelling or common use area to accommodate a person's disability. Or number two, refuse to make reasonable accommodations in policies or services if necessary for the disabled person to use the housing. In addition, any multifamily housing built after 1991 must comply with accessibility requirements to ensure that the public and common use areas and units themselves are accessible for people with disabilities. Next, we look at repairing the damage. If discrimination has taken place, the laws direct that steps may be taken to remedy the situation. This might include requiring changes in policies as well as practices, making the housing or loan available, accessing money damages and or attorney fees, or imposing civil fines and penalties. If you have questions or believe that you've been a victim of housing discrimination, contact the Civil Rights Bureau of the New York State Attorney General's Office. We're going to take a look at a state Supreme Court case that occurred in Buffalo based on Buffalo's fair housing law that was enacted in 2006. The case happened almost 10 years later. State Supreme Court Justice Patrick Nemoyer has found that the absentee owners and managers of a North Buffalo rental property discriminated due to source of income in violation of the City of Buffalo's Fair Housing Ordinance. This was the first case litigated under the 2006 law. The case was filed on February 29, 2008 by Housing Opportunities Made Equal, also known as HOME. Their investigation revealed that their investigator had been denied an apartment by University Property Management upon the instructions of a California landlord, Mr. Peterson. Because their investigator was a low-income person with a Section 8 housing voucher, which would help her pay the rent. So that's the reason for the discrimination. In December of 2007, this person, Ms. Smith, a student, had attempted to rent one of several apartments on Huntington Avenue listed by the defendants. After Ms. Smith was refused, she turned to HOME, which then began an investigation. The court found that whereas an investigator without a housing voucher was given 2 tours, that's 2 tours of the premises, another HOME investigator who identified herself as a Section 8 participant was refused and told that the owner no longer accepted recipients of housing assistance as tenants. The court also affirmed the legal standing of HOME, that's Housing Opportunities Made Equal, to bring a claim as an aggrieved party under the Buffalo Ordinance. They cited a 1982 Supreme Court decision. It established the right of fair housing organizations like this one to bring claims under the Federal Fair Housing Act. This decision is a significant victory for fair housing in Buffalo, said Scott Gill, Executive Director of HOME. It took 5 legislative campaigns waged over 38 years of the City of Good Neighbors to pass a fair housing law. Judge Nemoyer's ruling has helped make the real promise of fair housing for Ms. Smith and others denied housing due to their source of income. Housing Opportunities Made Equal is a civil rights organization whose mission is to promote the value of diversity and assure the people of Western New York an equal opportunity to live in housing and communities of their choice.